From above, it's nothing more than trees and houses. From the freeway, it's an exit sign, often passed up. This is Warrendale in East Multnomah County.
Have you ever been to Warrendale?
I have. There's not much there.
Dr. Frank Warren's great-great-grandfather, Frank Warren, is who the community was named for.
I guess an entrepreneur or business owner from Oregon.
The elder Warren was a very successful businessman, investing in the fish cannery business that was booming along the Columbia River. At the time, dozens of fish wheels, large wheels that acted like rotating fish nets, were scattered in the Columbia, catching salmon.
These were pulling out like 42 million pounds of fish at the peak of their usage.
Warren opened the Warrendale cannery to clean, can, and ship them downriver. Frank Warren's cannery, the Warren Packing Company, was the largest in the area and raking in the money.
It was a good investment at the time. There was growing demand for Columbia River salmon around the United States.
Besides being a businessman, he was also a husband. So celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary in 1912, he and his wife Anna went on a European vacation. Now, if you're wondering why we're going from talking about fish canneries and fish packing to an anniversary trip, stick with me here. I have a sinking sensation, though, you're not going to like the outcome.
Their whole goal was to go to Egypt, and so obviously that's a long journey. So they took a train across the United States, they took a boat to Europe, then they traveled across Europe and eventually made it to Egypt. Then they were on their way back.
Yeah, so on their way back, they boarded a ship. It was the largest passenger ship ever to be built at the time. It was said to also be unsinkable. Their return trip was, of course, aboard the ill-fated Titanic. Newspaper reports from days later described Warren as a hero. His wife Anna, who survived, told the newspaper, "We were both fully dressed when the crash occurred." She went on to say they were told to get into the rescue boats. Her husband helped other women. Then before she knew it, the boat was full and being lowered. "The last I saw of Frank," she said, "he was standing by the rail and waving to me and calling that he would be on the next boat. I never saw him again." Frank Warren was among the more than 1,500 that died when the Titanic sunk. He was the only one from Oregon.
There is a potential that they were not supposed to be on the Titanic, but they were.
Anna Warren would never speak publicly of the Titanic again. In 1928, fish wheels would be banned in Oregon, and in the coming years, the Warrendale cannery would close. Today, you can still see some of the pilings that once held the very lucrative business of the Warrendale Packing Company. They sit along the Columbia River shoreline near the community of Warrendale. And that's what's in a name.
All right, so Warren wasn't exactly the biggest fish on board. You know, John Jacob Astor, whose great-grandfather is the namesake for Astoria, was. In that package, you heard fish wheels and you heard canned fish. To me, that sounds disgusting.
No, growing up in Missouri, my mom would buy canned salmon every now and then, and she would use it to make salmon patties like a hamburger, and then we'd have these salmon patty sandwiches, and I thought it was good.
Whatever the food is, if you tell me it's like a hamburger, I'm on board.
There you go.
The good thing about your stories is, one of the cool things, you can watch them multiple times and get different takeaways each time. Yeah. In this case, Rod took away the canned salmon aspect of the story. We have a full lineup of these What's in a Name segments that you can find in a couple of different spots, including our KGW YouTube page and, of course, on our website. And we're trying to make it easy for people, Rod, to find the What's in a Name segments. If they just text that number, 503-226-5088 with the word name.
Not your name, but just the name, the word name.
Type in NAME and text it to that number. We're going to text you back with a link to all of our What's in a Name segments.